is Akil from TesseracT.
Hi, this is James from TesseracT.
This is Jay from TesseracT, and you're geeking out to gear guards.
You fucking are geeking out. Okay, this is Amos from TesseracT, and you're geeking out to gear guards.
We are at the House of Blues in Anaheim. We've just played a show. I'm no longer sweaty, which is superb. And I'm just going to talk you through my gear. I play crushed drums. This is a Babinga kit. It's their Sublime range, so 10, 12, 13, 16. I tune my 10 more like an 8. My 12 is kind of tuned how it wants to be. These two, the 13 is tuned like a 16 and the 16 is tuned like an 18. And that's just an extension of my kick drum. It sounds fat as hell. The cymbals, all Sabian, they sound wonderful. I choose very musical cymbals. Start over here. I have 14-inch rock hats that I've had since the very start. These things are beautiful. They've got very clear kind of chick, which is perfect for me because I do a lot of pedal hat work. So the opening and closing of the hats is very precise and it cuts through exactly where I need it. I have this over here, which is my little kind of accent crash of choice. It's a 16-inch AAX Ozone. I think it's called the Ozone still. It is called the Ozone crash. I just had to check that. It's kind of somewhere between a China and a crash. And it works really well because it's really fast, the decay is really fast. Tiny little 8-inch splash in there, which is an AA. What is it? It's just an AA splash. Really fast. I kind of jump across from the hats to that quite a lot. And I've got the 10 AAX up there on a little stacker. I've done that for years. It's like a perfect place when you haven't got somewhere else that you can actually comfortably reach a splash. These little things come in really handy. HHX, I think it's a Studio. What is it? Studio Crash, it is. The 18 over there, which is my kind of second riding crash. These are my two main riding crashes. Over here is a hand-hammered thin, which is their new sort of remastered hand-hammered thin range. It's a thin crash again. I prefer thinner crashes because they don't sort of ring out for too long. And they're more musical. They're sort of higher in pitch, and they don't take up all of the frequencies that the vocals take up on stage. That's my main reason for doing it. The stack over here, a little creation, hand-hammered thin, 14-inch crash underneath with a 10-inch HH duo splash on top. I've had a couple of different types of stacks over the years, but this one is working really well for me now. It cuts through really nicely. 21-inch hand-hammered raw bell dry ride. Ride of choice. Phil Collins used it. I mean, come on, Phil Collins. It's beautiful. The bell is the best of any cymbal I've ever used. I've had this for years before I was even working with Sabian. And not forgetting this absolute beast, the 21-inch Holy China, which every drummer that is with Sabian has a Holy China of some kind. They have, there's 17, 19, 21. I've had both the 19 and the 21, and both of them are ridiculously good. Crush M1 double pedal down there. I have mine set up quite strange. I have the right foot, because I do a lot of heel toe, the heel plate is flat. This one on the left hand side, however, I only use for power, so I have it set up as a longboard. You're allowed to cheat. That is my cheat. And I've got there another Crush hi-hat stand over here, which is nice and tidy. Porter and Davies BC Gigster over here, which is basically my monitor. This is like how I hear and feel what I do on stage. So this thing here, the kick out mic goes into there, and then that goes into my seat, and it generates a massive kick drum sound in my head. And it basically means that I don't have to have a massive wedge next to me firing a load of kick drum. I can just sit on my seat, crank up my, the kick drum going into my backside, and it works beautifully. Evans Drumheads, I use Evans Drumheads. I'll talk you through these. I've got EC2s on the toms, G1s on the bottom. I have G2 on the snare and 300 on the bottom of that, which you won't be able to see because it's underneath. EQ3 on the front, sorry, on the batter side of the kick. with a couple of the AF patches just to get a bit more clarity. But that kick head is kind of perfect. It's somewhere in the mid-range of the heads they do, but it's a nice sort of well-rounded drum head to use. And the snare, I'm going to show you this because this is my creation, and I may as well. I've started making drums, and this is my first one. It's 14 by 6.5 teak stave snare, 20mm thick. It's pretty gnarly, and it looks beautiful and sounds pretty good. It's something I've always wanted to do because I've never felt particularly qualified to talk about my my drum sound. I've kind of gone for drums that look beautiful, like these Babinga drums look absolutely stunning, and they do sound great as well. But in order to kind of just build up my understanding of it, I thought, why not make a drum? So I watched all of the videos that there are on YouTube of guys in garages and workshops kind of making stave drums. I bought a Brady snare as well that was, I've used them on recordings many times, and they sound fantastic, and I kind of tried to make something that would be close to that. So there's me and a friend, we've got access to a workshop, we bought all the machinery to do it, and we made a load out of pine first because pine is cheap. Just little shitters, little ones that we weren't going to do anything with because it's a softwood, you can't really do much with that. But then we got our hands on some teak. Once we'd kind of perfected all of the jigs that you have to kind of round the thing in, and we got the machinery right, we're happy with everything we bought. This was number one, and I wanted to road test it to make sure it's not going to fall apart or sound terrible. So far it doesn't sound terrible, and it hasn't fallen apart, and we're halfway through a tour. It's been through all the various climates that you can go through in the US and Canada, so a lot colder, and it's still in one piece, and it's still sounding pretty snarey. So yeah, that's number one, teak, lovely snare. Oh, and a little mixer down there, and an iPad so that I can hear what I'm doing. Oh, Vic Firth as well, sorry, I missed out Vic Firth. Probably the most important part of my kit. Without these, there would be no sound, or it would be very, very quiet. Vic Firth 5Bs, I've used them for years. They are wonderful sticks, perfectly weighted for me. 5Bs and the HD9s, I go between those two, but at the moment, heavier 5Bs work beautifully for me. And to prove that, I'm halfway through a tour and I have no blisters. So there you go.
Okay, I'm Akil from TesseracT, just going to show you my guitars. So I'm endorsed by Ibanez, so I just use strictly Ibanez guitars. This is my oldest one, it's the Ibanez Regis, 7-string, 27-inch scale, so it's a baritone. What pickups have I got? I've got bare knuckle aftermaths, both. I don't bother the tone knob because I just don't need it. It's got the coil tap option, which I sometimes use, particularly in the new stuff, the new songs in Polaris. It's an ash body. Can't remember what the neck is made of. Well, maybe somebody would know if they looked at it, but it looks pretty. That's that one.
Stripey wood.
Yeah, stripey wood. And then this is the second one I got. This is the Ibanez Cetius. Again, 27-inch scale, baritone. Ashwood. I always go with ashwood because I just love the tone you get out of it. It's tight. You get a sustain out of it as well. It's not a flubby kind of sound you get with basswood. It's just a really nice wood, basically. Again, I'm not sure what neck this is. I think it might be Wenge, but I'm not sure. The main difference is this is a bolt-on neck, so you get a more of a sort of attack sound out of it. And this one is Blackhawks, bare knuckle Blackhawks. Again, the coil tap option. And my new one, which I got at the start of this tour. Ooh, almost. Stay! I would have cried if that crashed. This is my favourite one, it's my new one. Another Cetius, because I really like this model. Ashwood again. Pretty sure this one's Wenge. Neck. Bolt-on again. The difference with this is I've got piezo pickups, saddles, which is great for the clean sounds, so you can get like an acoustic kind of sound on that. And just a lot more options. Instead of having the push-pull coil tap option, I've got a switch, because a lot of the new material I'd have to kind of do that and then push it up. Now I can just go, so that's really useful. Yeah, and that's that really. Jim Dunlop, I use quite thin ones. It's a Jim Dunlop 73s. they're pretty flimsy, but you can get more, I don't know what the word is, just a bit more nuance out of them. You can do a lot of the scrapey kind of pick attack kind of stuff out of them. With the newer stuff, an 88, slightly bit more attack out of it, but again, you get a bit more control for the dynamic kind of scratchy stuff. So we've been using those for ages. And we use D'Addario 10 to 59s strings. We could do with starting to use 64s, but I'm just used to using 59s for now. It works. So yeah.
Hi there, I'm James. I play guitar in TesseracT, and we're at the Anaheim House of Blues, where we just played a show. And we're on the stage, which has been broken down, as you can see. And I'm going to talk to you guys at Gear Gods a little bit about my guitars. Okay, first off, here they are in their Scott Dixon touring case, which is kind of vital for going on aeroplanes. If you want to take more than one guitar, you don't want to pay a fortune for it. But I'll quickly run through these. First off, I've got basically, this is actually a prototype of an Ibanez RGD stock guitar called an Uppercut, and it's basically got a fixed bridge, bare knuckle aftermaths. It's the standard sort of basswood body, but it has an ebony fretboard, whereas the regular RGD has a rosewood one, and no dots as well, which is quite slick. Got it coil tapped, so we can go to single coils whenever we want, and three-way pickup selector. And yeah, this is a very simple, very reliable, awesome guitar, which I love. This one here is my newest guitar. I only got this 2 weeks ago, and I'm very, very excited about it. It's an Ibanez LAC custom shop guitar, and it's it's based on the RGD shape, but it's slightly longer neck. It's 27-inch scale length. This one here is only 26.5. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, it's an older body with a maple top, flame maple top, and then this green burst finish, which I think looks amazing. Don't know about you. I still like to kind of just look at it and admire it quite a lot. Again, nice sort of fixed bridge. These are the ultimate, the most amazing tuners. They're not only locking tuners, but they also trim the strings for you as well. So you put the string in, tighten it up, turn it, so you don't need any tools basically to maintain this guitar. And here we've got Black Hawks, bare knuckle Black Hawks. And again, these are coil taps. I've actually got these tapped separately, so I can have that on single coil, that on humbucker, and easily flick between the two. It also has a kill switch at the bottom there. And yeah, it's a neck through build. And yeah, there's that one. Oops, I just probably put a bash on it there. Yeah. And this is my first LA custom shop Ibanez, which I've had now for about 4 years, and it's been an incredible workhorse. It's very, very similar hardware to the one I just showed you. However, it's got this is a bare knuckle aftermath. That's a Damasio PAF Pro, coil tapped, kill switch, three-way toggle switch there. It's got the same kind of self-trimming locking tuners.
Are those Planet Waves, or they're Ibanez branded?
I actually don't know. That's a bit embarrassing. I think they're probably they're probably just Ibanez branded. I think, aren't they? Yeah, they're killer. And this one's actually made out of swamp ash, so it's a weightier guitar. And the tones between this one and this one are actually quite different. This one is a lot, it's got really good low mid and really great for chuggy, whereas this one's got a bit more bitey, and it's really, this one cuts through the mix amazingly well. This one's ferocious, so it depends on what kind of sound I'm feeling at the time. And the only stomp box I have on stage is a tuner. And if you come with me, I can explain why. Basically, my line then runs over to the main rig here, which Amos is going to talk to you about in a bit more detail, but I'll just talk about the guitar side of it. I would then run basically into this top axe effects here. I'm not going to explain why it says beer and ham on there. Yeah, it's a bit random. And basically, we run Cubase. We run the set through Cubase, and all our patch changes are MIDI triggered, so this all changes automatically. So we don't need any pedals, and it means we don't make silly mistakes. And well, we do make silly mistakes, we just make less. And then that's basically direct PA. And that's pretty much my rig.
Cubase on one side, Pro Tools on the other.
Yeah, so what you had here was, I was just recording tonight. Just for prosperity, and you never know, we maybe have to use it. But it's basically facilitated all from, you know, most audio engineers, they have a problem with the word Behringer. But the fact is, this is now the biggest music company in the world. They own TC Electronics, they own Midas, which is a very well-respected name. And they've got this fantastic system now, so we've got the desk version of this at front of house. And we've got, this is basically a fantastic mixer, but without the mixer. It's just a rack version of the mixer, and you've got a stage box. This, along with a great little piece of technology that allows us to use internet protocol to transfer audio, enables us to send audio to front of house, audio to a Pro Tools rig, and I can record 32 channels anywhere. In fact, we were in Finland recently, as far as you can go in the northern hemisphere, up above the Arctic Circle. And we were able to record 32 channels and film and do something for Jägermeister in the snow in minus 20. So that's minus 20 centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's close to 0, maybe around about that Fahrenheit. And the Behringer system worked. So Behringer is pretty cool, pretty hardcore. But everything we do runs off this, this is our sequencer, which starts in Cubase. This has all the various backing tracks, things like that. So TesseracT is still running. Look at that. Let's stop that. Okay. So TesseracT is not just guitars, bass, and drums, and vocals. We try to take the studio to whatever venue we're in. So for example, we've got a load of extra guitars, a load of sequence tracks, a load of synthesizers, also backing vocals. I know some people find that a bit weird, but it would be a bit weird for us to suddenly add 4 or 5 extra members. This allows us to take the studio recordings to any, okay, so we're in a beautiful venue tonight, House of Blues, but a few days ago we were in Seattle in Chop Suey, which, for lack of a better word, is not so beautiful, but we were able to do exactly the same big production studio here. So it's wonderful, and that all runs Cubase via RME sound card, Fireface 800, and then we got a spare here, which is a UC, and that is then going to front of house and through our ears as well. Just we've got maybe 6 channels coming out of that. That's left and right sequencer, left and right BVs. Now this is where it gets a bit weird. We also have 3 clicks. Now there's a main tempo click going on, but sometimes we have a reference click for like a rhythm thing. So you've got a few things going on. Say the main tempo is like, say, 120 at 4/4, but the feel is slightly different. Say it's 160 and 6/8. So it's going against that. We'll have 2 there. And then every now and then the singer, Dan, and the guitarist who you just spoke to, James, because they're doing slightly different things on top of everything else, they might need an extra click on top of that that gives them a reference. Fortunately, using the Behringer, we can block that out or mix it in depending on when we need it or not. So there is, for Dan and for James, sometimes they have 3 clicks going on, which is, I don't want to deal with that. That's nuts, that's crazy. But that's all facilitated by simple MIDI. MIDI has been around for 30, 40 years, but it's so powerful and nobody uses it. Very few people use it. Like when you look at our stage, you see nothing. There's nothing on stage except I've got a few pedals, and that's simply because they are not MIDI controllable. But everything else goes through the Axe effects. It's all controlled via this sequencer. So Akko and James, the guitarists, they don't need any pedals. All their patch changes are made via the sequencer. it's so powerful and yet very few people use it. It's really surprising because you can do so much of it. If we wanted, we could run our light show from this. And we were supposed to do that this tour, but you know, fortunately we met our LD and we worked it out with Matt. He's a great LD from the US, and it's just wonderful to have somebody in charge instead of us controlling everything, you know. So it's good fun. In terms of a bass rundown, it's so simple, like so simple. Okay. Nice bit of Warwick gear. It's a really old bass. The serial number says it's from 2001. So where are we now? 2015, so that's 14 years old. They don't make this anymore because it's a bit unsustainable wood, I think it's called. Yeah. So I'm a little unhappy about having quite a bad unenvironmentally friendly, or environmentally unfriendly, sorry, wood, but it's beautiful. Super heavy, gives me backache. What can I do? Yeah, that's cool.
And you can't put it back in the tree. So.
That's it, man. What can I do? Burn it or play it? So let's play it. That just runs through, follow me. Really simple, just a dark glass electronics microtubes B7K, just for a little bit. It's not a distortion pedal per se, but everybody uses it as one. It's basically a preamp, but I crank it up, just get it going, really get a nice transistor, fat, crunchy tone out of it. Use that every now and then, not for everything, because the Warwick is so beautiful, I don't want to put anything in the way. And then that runs via normally as short a cable as possible, but I take that back to our rig to the two elements that are really special to me, which is firstly the Electro-Harmonix Blackfinger, which is a valve compressor based on the studio standard LA2A, sorry. So that is this here. You don't see this on the road too much because these valves, they pick up a lot of noise. There's been some cases in America where I've totally been picking up a local radio station. You know, I'm playing away, and then when I stop, Mariah Carey comes out the PA. And that was incredible. That was Indiana, Egyptian rooms, just bizarre. You know, stop. So what the hell is going on there? But it's a beautiful valve compressor, and now I use this more for tone than anything else. Yeah, it's a nice compressor, but it adds that studio sound to it. And then the absolutely most amazing piece of gear that any bassist should ever have is the Avalon U5 DI. Now, it's a standard in studios, like high-end studios, but you don't see many of these on the road. It really just shows you what you're playing. You've got no place to hide whatsoever. You have to step up your game constantly because every little mistake I mean the tiniest mistake you make, this helps you see. It just seems to remove all the fluff that may be in your tone and just a really just perfect, pristine tone. And yeah, that's it. That goes to front of house. You know, none of this MIDI crap that I was talking about, none of this wonderful Axe effects, just clean hardware. Perfect. Just splendid. And then in terms of monitoring, that's it. We've got everything going into a wonderful little AKG system. These are, so all of us, we've got, so Dan, Ackle, myself and James, we're all on separate frequencies, all running through just a simple paddle that transmits to us on stage. We can control that again. We have a version of the front of house desk. This is just a software version of what our front of house engineer has, but we essentially have two mixers. We have the one here, which is the tiny little rack unit I showed you earlier, which was the X32 core. That runs via a cable to front of house, and then there's a desk version there, which are two separate entities, but we don't need a house engineer to do anything. We just turn up, we've got our front of house guy, we've got our in-ear monitor guy. Here, this is our in-ear monitor guy. And every now and then you'll see us running off stage going, no, it sounds like shit, what's going on? And it's just us playing around with that. And it gives us so much control. We have, you know, like when you're at home in your studio, you're twiddling away, that's what we can do here. It's so much power, too much power, you know, because we've got every single microphone going on here goes to here, and it's beautiful. And then that sends us, I can then record everything as well. You know, so wonderful, flexible, powerful studio basically that we just set up every day, break down every day. And we're very lucky that we managed to find this, because I don't think TesseracT would be TesseracT without it now.
This is Mike Pinella from Symphony X, and you are geeking out to Gear Gods. Yamaha Motif 7, awesome board. I've been using it, I'll never use anything else.
What else? Rosewood fretboard, I'm sorry, maple neck. Over here we have Mike Romeo's signature model. This is the MJ R3.